This is 5 on 20 News, where the news is ill, but the newscasters are the illest, with Anais, Quintela
and Nick Cerami.
Coming to you live from our studio in downtown Tucson. First, the local headlines.
Tonight, the City Council will vote on a resolution against mass deportation in Tucson. Resolution 22699 is expected to pass unanimously and declares the city shall not participate in any mass deportation. This measure was no doubt inspired by President-elect Donald Trump's campaign promise to deport up to 11 million people from the U.S. Trump later reduced that number to 2 to 3 million in a 60 Minutes interview last month. Tucson is considered a sanctuary city by some, meaning a city that does not use funds to enforce national immigration laws and, by extension, will challenge Trump's hardline immigration plans. But Tucson has not officially declared itself as a sanctuary city like Chicago, New York, and others have. If passed, this resolution would move Tucson closer to being a bona fide sanctuary city, and that may come with consequences if Trump goes through with his plans. Fortunately, Trump's promises are turning out to be as solid as runny diarrhea. Also, like diarrhea, Trump's immigration plans are messy and will quickly ruin a party.
Tucson Medical Center will donate $500,000 to a memorial in remembrance of the mass shooting on January 8, 2011. The shooting severely injured Representative Gabby Giffords, who was shot in the face and leg by Jared Loughner. Ron Barber, who filled in for Giffords, was also injured in the shooting, and he has also pledged his support for the Tucson Medical Center project. The memorial will include a monument garden and a living wall called the Embrace, where visitors can plant seeds in crevices. The memorial will cost $5 million, and the January 8th Memorial Foundation has raised $1.8 million so far. With the TMC donation, they have $2.7 million left to raise, and Barber hopes that TMC's donation will shake loose other donors. The foundation is lobbying for the project to be declared a national memorial, which could mean federal funds for the project. The first phase of construction is slated to begin in early 2017.
The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has released a recovery plan for the endangered jaguar, which was spotted on the southern Arizona mountain range. This is only the second wild jaguar seen in recent years. The plan focuses on sustaining the habitat and preventing poaching. They also want to develop an environment that accommodates the jaguar to attract more of the animals that come north of the border. Boy, did these jaguars pick the wrong time to come here. Environmental groups were critical that the plan didn't involve a solution to restore breeding. They say that the plan should involve relocation to somewhere that they can thrive. Surprisingly, former Sheriff Joe Arpaio backed the plan, saying he's bored and needs something to send back to Mexico.
The chief of the Tucson Police Department says that the force will most likely begin using drones instead of standard helicopters in the near future. Chief Chris Magnus says that using drones is more cost-effective, but he says he needs to consider the issue further before any hard decisions are made. Magnus says that the department's 2 helicopters are nearing their end, as an outside audit revealed that the helicopters are a safety risk. TPD helicopters were grounded for 2 weeks after the audit. But the president of the Tucson Police Officers Association says that drones will be ineffective. He says that drones can't compete without having officers on each flight because trained humans are better equipped to aid officers on the ground. The drones say they look forward to joining the force and reducing humanity to an enslaved power source for the robots.
And I wanted to take a moment to talk to you about the program that you're watching right now. Here at 5 on 20, we are undertaking a new kind of citizen journalism. We're going to give you the news as we see it, and we want more people to speak up with us. We need writers, hosts, anchors, camera people, sound people, the whole gamut. The times require a new way of informing ourselves, so join us. Do it. Do it now. Email us at info@creativetucson.org to get involved. And if you think that there's a story we're missing, a person we should interview, an upcoming event we should cover, or have any news tips for us, shoot an email to info@creativetucson.org. We're here for you, and we want to cover all stories from all points of view, so don't be strangers. And now, in national and international news.
The Russian ambassador to Turkey was shot dead at an art opening yesterday. Russian Ambassador Andrei Karlov was a veteran diplomat spending the majority of his career in Moscow. An Associated Press photographer captured this picture while others ran for cover. The photo shows the assassin wearing unofficial uniform of secular Turkish state. He is said to be shouting in Arabic, quote, "God is great, those who pledged allegiance to Muhammad for jihad. God is great." And in Turkish, "Don't forget Aleppo," and "Only death can take me from here." A 15-minute gun battle ensued after the assassination, and Turkish special forces killed the assailant. The incident occurred just a day before Turkey's prime minister was scheduled to travel to Russia to discuss Syria. Russia has been accused of aiding the Assad regime in Syria, where a civil war has raged for the past 5 years and caused more than 500,000 deaths.
At least 12 people were killed and 48 injured when a truck barreled through a crowd at Berlin's annual Christmas market. The black truck reportedly had Polish license plates. According to local authorities, a suspicious person was arrested near the incident, but the police didn't reveal any further information about the driver. He was described as a refugee from Pakistan and may have been seeking asylum. But driving a truck through a crowd is a weird strategy if you're trying to be granted asylum. Regardless, the suspect was released today due to insufficient evidence, and the attacker remains at large. The U.S. National Security Council said that the incident appears to be a terrorist attack, but German authorities still haven't confirmed, although Angela Merkel has said informally that it must be a terrorist attack. Last month, the U.S. State Department issued a blanket warning for increased terrorist activity and that ISIS and al-Qaeda continue to plan attacks in the area. The German Christmas market is one of the most popular in the world and has been under increased security in recent years.
The current director of the International Monetary Fund has been found guilty of negligence in a 2008 case. At that time, she was France's finance minister, Christine Lagarde, who has run the IMF since 2011, will not serve any prison time, but it's unclear if she will maintain her role at the organization. Lagarde was charged with improperly deciding the 2008 case based on political pressure. The case involved Bernard Tapie, the owner of Adidas, who said that the French bank Crédit Lyonnais undervalued his company and therefore defrauded him. Lagarde took his side on the case when she served under President Nicolas Sarkozy. She took criticism for a move that many said was sympathetic to a wealthy, politically connected figure. Tapie was awarded over 400 million euros in the case. The IMF's board gathered later in the afternoon to discuss the future of Lagarde's leadership, but have not yet come to a decision. This is a hectic time for the group, as they are now deciding whether to provide another multi-billion-dollar bailout for Greece, whose economy has not yet recovered from the crash of 2008. The International Monetary Fund is a kind of credit union for countries around the world. Since its founding after World War II, the IMF has extended credit to developed and developing countries around the world, but the group has faced its share of controversy. Critics say that the IMF uses its credit line to inflict damaging economic policies to troubled countries. And Lagarde isn't the first felon in the mix. The last leader of the IMF, Dominique Strauss-Kahn, was arrested on sexual assault after an incident involving a hotel maid, and he was later found to be part of a prostitution ring. In 2015, Strauss-Kahn was acquitted on charges of aggravated pimping. Who knew that the world of international payment systems could be so sexy?
And while the right continues to shower praise on Vladimir Putin for being a strong leader, Russia's poor are drinking lighter fluid to get through their day. The mayor of the Siberian city of Irkutsk called a state of emergency after at least 48 people died from drinking a homemade alcoholic concoction. Experts say that up to 12 million Russians regularly drink alcohol surrogates made from window cleaner, perfume, and medical ethanol. The deaths in Serbia were caused by a counterfeit batch of boyershnik, a relaxant added to bath water that contains 93% alcohol. The fluid was even sold in vending machines earlier this year. Alcoholism continues to be a huge problem in Russia, where a quarter of men die before their 55th birthday. Putin's spokesman said that the president has been informed of the problem and will be sending a case of boyershnik to Hillary Clinton as a Christmas gift.
Well, we can all breathe deep and take a slug of boyershnik because Donald Trump was officially chosen as our president yesterday. Despite calls for an electoral rebellion, electors stayed faithful to the Electoral College vote. Trump received 304 electoral votes overall compared to Hillary Clinton's 227. 7 electors, who are called faithless electors, voted for other candidates, but those votes didn't flip the way you might think. 4 of the faithless voted against Hillary Clinton, with 1 elector from Maine choosing Bernie Sanders, my boy, before reversing his vote later in the day to Clinton. The electoral vote was the last gasp for Trump opponents to have their Christmas wish, but it was crushed as Scrooge signaled that he's coming to town on January 20th. Trump said that he will work hard to unite the country and will make America great again for those who voted for him. Trump lost only 2 votes by electors, with 1 choosing Ohio Governor John Kasich and the other choosing former Texas Representative Ron Paul. And now we all have to face facts and realize the last year hasn't been a cough medicine-induced fever dream.
And as the holiday season closes in on us all, the Apprentice Presidential Edition has slowed down a bit. But Donald Trump did make time to appoint yet another billionaire. This man of means is Florida Panthers owner Vincent Viola, and he'll be the next Secretary of the Army. Vinny Viola grew up on the rough and tumble streets of Brooklyn before eventually falling in with neighborhood boss Jimmy Conway and rising up to mafia lieutenant. No, sorry, that was Goodfellas. Viola actually fell in with the worst group of mobsters after his Brooklyn childhood. He became a Wall Street trader, then later founded his own electronic trading firm, Virtu Financial, before buying the Panthers hockey team for $250 million in 2013. Viola also graduated from West Point and served as an airborne ranger in the 101st Airborne Division. So he at least has experience, but critics are pointing to Viola's excessive wealth, a theme so far in Trump's cabinet. Viola is yet another billionaire appointed by Trump, joining a group that includes billionaires Wilbur Ross, Betsy DeVos, and Todd Ricketts. This makes up the richest cabinet in history with a combined wealth of $14 billion total, equal to the 43 million poorest households in the United States. Maybe Trump's plan is to trap all these moneybags in a room and make them pay off the national debt.
In conflict of way too much interest news, the New York Times is reporting that Steve Mnuchin, Trump's pick as Treasury Secretary, is known for moving around in the shadowy world of hedge funds. Allegedly, he is close with hedge fund billionaire John Paulson, who helped finance one of Mnuchin's early funds. Paulson is known for making a $15 billion bet against the housing market in 2008. Now Paulson is betting that Fannie and Freddie, the government-sponsored housing giants, will be privatized. And guess who made statements urging that Freddie and Fannie become privatized? That's right, Mr. Mnuchin himself. Also, it's worth mentioning that Trump has investments tied up with John Paulson. So essentially, Trump stands to gain financially if Fannie and Freddie are privatized. Ah, so this is how you drain the swamp.
A former staffer for South Carolina Representative Trey Gowdy, has settled a lawsuit claiming that he was unlawfully fired. Air Force Reserve Major Bradley Poliska said he was told to focus the Benghazi investigation solely on Hillary Clinton. When the staffer refused, Gowdy fired him. Gowdy claims that Poliska was fired for mishandling classified information, which the staffer denies. He also claims that Gowdy defamed his reputation when he was unwilling to go along with the politicized order. Since 2012, Republicans tried to paint Hillary Clinton as being criminally responsible for the attacks in Benghazi, Libya, that ended in the death of Ambassador Chris Stevens. Republicans charged that the death occurred because Clinton didn't act quickly enough and then covered up the evidence. But the commission tasked with investigating the attacks failed to find a connection between Clinton and the attacks. Last week, the committee released its final report and quietly closed its doors without any clear conclusions, other than that it was an enormous waste of taxpayer money. The panel spent more than $7.8 million on the report, which spanned 2.5 years. Democrats charged that the investigation was politically motivated and that the inaccurate claims helped defeat Hillary Clinton in November. The panel will reconvene in the new year to find someone else to publicly shame.
Physicists at Indiana University have developed a new way to probe antimatter. Researchers were able to zap antimatter atoms with a laser and then measure the light let off by the atoms. They then compared the light from regular atoms with the light emitted from antimatter to measure antimatter energy levels. The scientists are seeking to find out why we cannot perceive dark matter like we can regular matter. Dark matter is different because its electrons contain a positive charge rather than the negative charge found in regular matter. When antimatter and matter collide, they both immediately disappear. This makes studying antimatter near impossible because it cannot interact with matter. The team was able to isolate the dark matter version of hydrogen atoms in a vacuum using strong magnetic fields. They seek to study the makeup of dark matter, which could reveal deep mysteries of how our universe came to be. Scientists say that an equal amount of antimatter and matter would have destroyed the universe, but somehow more matter outweighed the antimatter, leading to the creation of life. The scientists hope to be able to create more antimatter atoms to see what makes it tick. And with any hope, they'll be able to find us an alternate universe where Donald Trump doesn't exist.
And researchers at a Netherlands university have found that pregnancy causes unique changes to a mother's brain. Scientists from Leiden University found that the amount of gray matter in a pregnant woman's brain decreases for up to 2 years. The researchers think that the drop in matter corresponds to being able to empathize or put yourself in another's shoes. They say that there is a clear evolutionary reason for the brain changes. A first-time mother has to focus on her baby's needs, which is made easier by a drop in gray matter. Researchers also studied memory but found no differences between pregnant and non-pregnant women. Pregnancy has often been thought to affect women's memory. The supposed phenomenon of forgetfulness while knocked up is referred to as baby brain in mom groups around the world. But as we all know, your mother will never let you forget that time you ruined family Christmas photo when you were 2 years old.
I don't know about you, but all this news makes me want to go chug some lighter fluid.
As long as it's not counterfeit lighter fluid.
You gotta get the real stuff, the classy stuff.
It has to be the real deal. I mean, otherwise.
Just with served on neat on the rocks, just.
Yeah, I hear that makes a really good screwdriver.
This was Anais Quintela
And Nick Cerami.
for 5 on 20 News. Next up, Nick interviews comedian Paul Gobel.
tech site and movie.
Hi, I'm Nick Cerami, and I'm here with Paul Gobel. Paul is a Tucson native, an actor, comedian, and a television presenter. He attended the University of Arizona, won the TV Land Ultimate Fan Search, and is a producer of podcasts such as The Paul Gobel Show, Hey, Watch This, and Bottle Episode.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you doing?
Excellent. I'm good.
Well, that's good. I know a lot of people know you from the show Beat the Geeks,
Right.
where you're the TV geek.
That's right.
For people who are unfamiliar, could you tell us a little bit about the show and your involvement with it?
Beat the Geeks was on Comedy Central, I think, back in 2000. Probably when you were, 5 years old or even born yet?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I was 9.
About that? All right. And it was on at the same time as Ben Stein's Money, when there used to be game shows on Comedy Central. And it was me and 2 other guys. I was the TV geek, and there was the movie geek and the music geek. And then we had a 4th geek that changed every episode. And then contestants would come on and answer questions, and they would get easy questions, and we would get hard questions, and they would try to beat the geeks. And it was a great gig, because I just showed up and answered questions and got to insult people, and it was really fun. And we did 2 seasons, and I got to meet a bunch of celebrities, idols of mine, and I found out later, after we got canceled, that there was a French version of Beat the Geeks, and I finally got a copy of it, and it's hilarious because it's the same thing. They wear these dumb robes, and they're all real cocky, but they're all they're speaking French, so they're twice as annoying,
Sure.
because they're French. And the best, I don't speak French, but the best part is just like our show at the beginning, they introduce all the geeks, and the geeks insult people and say something cocky. And so you watch it, and the geeks are like, this, and you don't know what they're saying, but it's all snotty. Except at the end, the last guy goes, bon chance, which of course means good luck. Right. And I thought that was brilliant. That was so snotty, bon chance. He was all French and total douchebags. It was a funny thing, but it was a great gig. I got to work for Comedy Central and meet a lot of cool people, and And since then, it got me more into stand-up.
Sure.
When I was in LA, so I've been doing stand-up since then and acting and stuff like that. But I just recently moved back to Phoenix, and I decided I would come down and do a show.
Okay, well, cool.
Yeah.
And I know that there was an effort a couple years ago on Kickstarter to maybe get Beat the Geeks back going again. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, I came, I would, shortly after the show went off the air, it was weird because there was like a lot of people would recognize me from the show, and then it went off the air and it was done. And then there was like a groundswell, like all the like high school kids and stuff who watched it, who were now graduated and out in the world, would recognize me and be like, oh, I love that show. And so then as these people got older and got like real jobs and in positions of power, more people would say it. And I was like, well, let's do a new version. And I still kept in touch with the producers of the old version. So I talked to them about doing an updated version. And the problem is the Fox, movie studio or whatever, they own the Beat the Geeks, the actual product, Beat the Geeks, so you can never do it without their permission. But I tried to get a new version going that was a little different. So, it was basically a new game show. It's called Uber Geek. Okay. And I put it together and I pitched it and we got some money, but we shot too high. Okay. As you often do on Kickstarter, and we did not reach our goal. Okay. But the good side, the silver lining and all that is that I never have to donate any money to anyone's Kickstarter ever again, because I can say, well, my Kickstarter failed, so you know what? There you go. There's your Kickstarter too, friend.
Okay, sure. And you said when you were doing Beat the Geeks, when you were out in LA, that's when you started, doing stand-up and acting, doing more of that. Were you already in that world before, or did it help get you into it?
Yeah, well, I've been doing stand-up ever since college. I went to U of A. I remember when Laughs opened up, we would always go there for the open mic and stuff. And then after college, I moved to Chicago and did a lot of comedy there. And the great thing was, and I did shows in LA and stuff before Beat the Geeks, but the great thing was, because there's so much competition, I had a TV credit automatically, so I could get on more and more shows. And so, man, I fed off that TV credit for a lot of years. We were only on 2 seasons, but here we are, 2016, almost 2017, we're still talking about it. So I fed on that for a lot of years. And then I went back to Comedy Central. I was on At Midnight in May, and it was all because of friends I made. I've known Chris Hardwick for many, many years. So yeah, I've been doing stand-up, pretty steadily in LA and around the LA area. And and I try to get on as much as I can. It's stand-up is a great way to, kind of get the demons out. Sure. And it's a great gig. And so I came to town. We got this gig tomorrow, and I'm doing your show tonight.
Right.
And yeah, it's anytime I can get on stage, I like to, because that's my time. That's my 5 or 10 minutes or whatever. So
absolutely,
I highly recommend it.
Okay. And I know that you're known as the king of TV. Right. So I was hoping maybe you could tell us, what do you think is the best thing that's on right now? What do you think is super overrated, too?
Oh, well, this has been, it's a weird year for TV, especially this year, because I think the whole political climate made people so unsure of what was going to be welcome and what wasn't going to be welcome. Unlike when George Bush was president, there was a whole sitcom that made fun of him. Right. But now people are like, well, do we want to make jokes about Republicans? And so people they produce safe stuff for the networks, but the great stuff is on cable or on like HBO or on streaming services and like that. And that's where the best stuff is coming from. Like Stranger Things was really popular on Netflix, and Atlanta on FX is really is just changing the way they make sitcoms, and all the stuff on HBO. And the great thing about it is, like, stuff on HBO, you get stuff that's really exciting, like Game of Thrones, or real funny sitcoms or whatever. But then they'll try something like Luck, which is a great idea and it's got great acting, but they had to shut it down because all these horses were dying. Apparently, it was all about horse racing. And then you got the show Vinyl, that was on last season, which seemed amazing, but then you watch it and go, oh, this is really actually terrible. But like, you can see what they were trying to do. Sure. It's like I see where all the money was spent, and I get what you were trying to do, but just it didn't hit. But it doesn't matter, because they let people kind of experiment, and you can go 2-3 episodes without really getting into the meat of the show, unlike a network where they have to put everything in the first 5 minutes, sure, to get your attention. So I'd say as far as networks go, a lot of stuff on Fox is really good. Last Man on Earth is still very funny. Son of Zorn, I think, is very funny. There's another show coming on Fox. I can't remember what it's called, but it's going to be on Sundays. There was a half-hour sitcom that looks good. A lot of good stuff on Netflix coming up. I like a lot of the foreign stuff, a lot of the English cop shows and stuff on Netflix.
Okay.
I like to watch that because it's like they've already been on in England or whatever, so they're so different here. And like they had Law and Order UK. I don't know if you watched that show. That was very cool. Yeah, it was just like regular Law and Order, except they were all English.
Sure.
So it's fun to see all that different stuff on like BBC or Netflix or wherever you see it. As far as what's overrated, I gotta say, SNL had a great year a couple seasons ago, and now I think ever since they let Trump host, they realized they're kind of toothless.
Yeah.
So I think this season has been a little overrated, especially this last episode. Holy crap, that was no good. I think one of the worst shows that people like is probably Nashville, which got canceled, and I was so happy ABC canceled it, but then like the country music channel brought it back, and they just had a big special. And I hate that show so much. I love a nice nighttime drama, but man, I don't get it. Sure. It's the new ER, in my opinion, which was probably my most hated show. I still hate ER. It's not even on anymore. I still hate it.
Okay, fair enough. So you're in town for a week, a few days?
Just a few days. You know, Christmas is the weekend. My family, my mom still lives here, so I was gonna, come by and see her, and I want to do a show while I was in town, and then go back. I live in Mesa, so I was just gonna drive back there. So it's a short drive, but I'm just here tonight and tomorrow. I got the big show tomorrow at Mr. Head's at 10 o'clock, and that's gonna be a lot of fun. And I wanted to come in early so I could try some jokes out at another show, and it turned out to be your show.
Right on.
So so I'm going to do that tonight, and then eat a lot of EGs while I'm here. That's the main thing I do while I'm in town, man. I got one in the car waiting for me as soon as we wrap this up. I'm going to eat all kinds of EGs. I've been eating EGs since I got here. I weighed 200 pounds when I got here. Now look at this. This is all EGs. That's what this is.
A day and a half of EGs.
Oh man, I can't stop.
I know every person who does comedy has some horrific bombing story.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know if you have one off the top of your head.
Well, I mean, I still bomb to this day, but I don't care. I care a lot less about it now when I bomb, because I know as long as I'm trying to do a good show, there's other things that will make people hate it. But I was doing a show. I was opening for Greg Fitzsimmons at the Laugh Factory in Long Beach. And I had known Greg for a long time, and he was just doing 2 shows one night on a Friday. And I went there, and it was 2 shows. And the first show, I killed it. I don't know why, but for some reason, they loved me. And the middler who was supposed to go on between me and Greg was late. He got caught in traffic. So I'm like stretching. I was supposed to do like 7 minutes. I ended up doing 10 or 12. And I'm just screwing around and talking to people. And man, they loved me. And I was like, all right, this will be easy. Great crowd. And so then I go eat some dinner, come back for the second show, and I don't know if it was because these people were already done with the night, they had already gone out or whatever, but they hated me. They did not find, I did the exact same act, but they, for whatever reason, they were not interested in what I was saying. They didn't know who I was, they didn't care. At one point, I was like talking to this girl up front, and she was like, don't talk to me. And I was like, whoa, all right, I guess that's not gonna work. And it was, and I even went, I had my girlfriend, the girl I was dating, who's now my wife, she went to the show with me, and I got back to the green room, and I was like, wow, they hated me. And she goes, yeah, I know. I was like, all right, I guess I didn't imagine it.
She wouldn't even bail you out of
No, because she saw the difference in the 2 shows. She was like, yeah, what happened? I'm like, I don't know what happened. But then the middle guy went up, he killed it. So I don't know, it must have been me. I don't know why they hated me. But, you're going to always bomb for one reason or another. Just don't make it be your fault. That's the key. If you bomb because the crowd is bad, or there was an alarm went off, or somebody threw something at you or whatever, just as long as it's not your fault and you do your time and the money's green, that's all you got to worry about.
Right on. All right, well, thank you for coming in and
my
talking
pleasure.
with us. And you can see Paul tonight at the screening room. That's at 7:30, or tomorrow at Mr. Head's on 4th Ave, and that's at 10 o'clock. And coming down from downtown Tucson, 5 on 20, this is Nick Cerami and Paul Goebel.